an hour outside of Asheville, North Carolina. Everybody on TV is seeing Asheville and the horrifying images of just the whole community seems like it's underwater. But this is spread far and wide, Hurricane Helene's devastation in Asheville and further out. Can you describe, again, I think you're about an hour outside of Asheville. Can you describe what's going on where you are, what your neighbors are dealing with, the long lines for everything from gas to food? And it seems, despite what we're hearing for the media, FEMA and the federal government might not be doing as thorough of a job as we need.
Absolutely. So I am in Forest City, North Carolina. We're in the foothills of the mountains, about an hour from the center of Asheville. We did sustain a lot of damage, but it was mostly high winds. We do have some flooding, but our town has, it's most of it's remained. The people are doing pretty well. We do have to, gas is limited. We have to sit in line for about an hour, and then you may have a $20 or $50 limit on what you can get, which you just burnt sitting there for an hour. And that's if you can find it. Like I said, we're fortunate. We have gas. But around us, every county, oh my goodness, the damage is devastating. Around us, McDowell County, Henderson County, the damage is just incredible. I've got, Chimney Rock, parts of Asheville, parts of Hendersonville, Marshall, Bryson City, Cherokee, and the lower parts of Lake Lure were or are still underwater.
Wow.
There are people that are still stranded. They're not getting help. They're stranded. They're landlocked. They're in floods. And FEMA, okay, so I did go up into Asheville yesterday. There's one way in and one way out. I actually made it up into Asheville and around into OT. And the damage, houses literally washed down the road, or they're covered. There's mudslides. But Asheville, there's so many dead bodies that you can smell it. The stench is becoming unbearable. You can smell it. There are that many dead people. Wow. It's bad. It's very, very, I can't describe.
I wonder if dead people, but also dead animals too. Because where do these animals go during a storm, especially a storm of such devastation? And I'll talk about Hurricane Hugo a little bit later, because that was a storm that hit South Carolina. So I can almost feel what she's talking about with, trying to get help and just the devastation of it all.
To you how bad it is.
And when you say FEMA, is it that FEMA can't get into certain areas, or FEMA isn't doing enough?
They're not doing enough. Where I went to, we had family members in Asheville. We got to the house. They said that FEMA was there, asked what they needed. There's 2 babies in the house. Asked what they needed. They said, we need water and formula. They left, never came back. How long are babies supposed to wait on formula? How long are people supposed to wait on water? How long are they supposed to wait? So they were there. They know what they need. Where are they? We saw emergency vehicles riding around. We had to get into Asheville. We drove over live power lines and under fallen trees to get to our family members. The people are helping the people. The people are helping the people.
Well, and that's how it is when it comes to a hurricane.
All right, so listen, State Farm.
That's how it is when it comes to a hurricane. Communities got to come together. You just can't depend on the government and all of these rescue efforts that they put in place. Because at the end of the day, you got to take care of your home, and the community got to kind of band together and help each other out. Whew, goodness.
Trying to charge me $197 for car insurance. No, thank you.
Drop points, 3 different locations in South Carolina where people can go to pick up water and emergency supplies. That's all I'm aware of at this point.
And for you, you went into Asheville. Did you go in to try and help, or you went in because you have family there? You're in about an hour from Asheville.
We had family members there. They literally, so across from, they're just down the road from the VA.
Coming rapid and much worse.
We're inland by a few states. So sure, we thought we were going to get some rain, tropical storm, wind. We were prepared for that. We were absolutely not prepared for the devastation that came. No, that kind.
Maybe you thought you'd be.
Whew, no, there's a lot to be said about that right there. She said they were not prepared. You cannot play with these hurricanes. Now, don't get me wrong. I love a good hurricane. Y'all might think that's kind of weird. And I think a lot of other people do as well. I love the fact of riding it out through a storm and surviving. You got your little surviving kits, your little weather band radio. Like my mom, she stay prepared. She have the weather band radio. She always had one of those since we were younger. And, you get all your water. And I think it's kind of fun, actually. But that's only if you can ride out a hurricane safely. And a lot of homes built these days, it's not built like how it used to be back then. Back then, a lot of the homes were brick. And so you know how when you hear a hurricane and you kind of like, and it's kind of a guessing game because you really don't know how bad it's going to be. And it's like, should I go? Should I leave? Should I go? Should I leave? And some of us waiting up to the last moment and the last day to make that decision. And sometimes it's too late. But you really can't play with these hurricanes because you don't know how bad it's going to get. And I'm going to talk about that. Like I said, I'm going to talk about Hurricane Hugo and how it started off, as a very high Category 5. Went down to a Category 2. People thought they were safe. Upped itself to a Category 4. So yeah, don't play when it comes to these hurricanes, especially if you got kids. And especially if you love your pets too, because a lot of people, they love their pets. Get out, get out, get out. And and I say get out, but the reality of it is too, a lot of people don't have the means and the money to get out sometimes too. But they have shelters and places you can evacuate to safety, and you just got to do what you got to do to stay safe.
Be affected, but did you think it was going to hit as hard there?
No, not at all. We're nowhere near the beach. We're inland by a few states. So sure, we thought we were going to get some rain, tropical storm, wind. We were prepared for that. We were absolutely not prepared for the devastation that came. No, that kind of warning did not come. And here's another problem that is currently happening. Our dams are in jeopardy. They have not been repaired the way that they need to be. Now all of the debris from the homes, from people, from everything is starting to put pressure on our dams. So there are still areas that are currently in danger of still possibly being flooded because of these dams.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you have the issue of water contamination, which tends to happen in these types of situations. At the same time, it's like this, everything happens in threes. You have Hurricane Helene, then you look at Georgia, this chemical plant fire, which could be related to the hurricane. This plant fire had another fire during another hurricane a few years ago. So it just seems like right now, you turn on the internet, which most of you haven't had power. There's one disaster after the other. It doesn't seem like our government is really equipped to handle it, or they are equipped, but they're prioritizing certain areas over others.
Okay, so I heard a nasty little rumor that Tennessee just deployed 700 National Guard to Kuwait just after we were hit, when we still have people that haven't been found. There's thousands missing. If you go to search, deployed 700 National Guard to Kuwait.
At another fire now, you turn on the internet, equipped, but they're prioritizing certain areas over others.
Okay, so I heard a nasty little rumor that Tennessee just deployed 700 National Guard to Kuwait just after we were hit, when we still have people that haven't been found. There's
Wow.
thousands missing. If you go to certain platforms, there is picture after picture after picture of people that are missing and lost and people looking for their family members. And it is not okay. It is not okay.
See, the most important thing right now is, getting to people who might still be alive and are trapped. But in the coming weeks, months, even years, this is going to be a long-term recovery. I mean, this is going to be a struggle to recover whole communities that have been wiped out.
I mean, I just don't understand where the help is. You say FEMA's taking care of this. Well, they made their presence and then they left. The people are trying to help the people and they're being turned away. So what are we supposed to do?
Turning the people away who are trying to help the people. That's what a community is supposed to do. You got to help each other. Let these people help each other. That's the only way to survive during a devastation like this, because government officials, these rescue efforts that they put in place, they can't get to everybody. So sometimes your neighbor might have something that you need. You might have something your neighbor need, and especially watch out for the kids. Make sure the kids have what they need. Make sure the babies have what they need. Let the people help the people. That's what we're supposed to do.
And so Black Mountain is a suburb of Asheville. Black Mountain held a town meeting. The people were officially told, no help is coming. If you can get out, get out. There's one way out, 26 South. The supplies that are coming are going to be for the first responders that are still doing search and rescue. That's what their town told them to do.
It's unbelievable. And by the way, I just looked up what you were referring to. So it does seem that Tennessee deployed some of its guard to Kuwait. Not sure why they did that, but there's been outrage over that.
Yes.
That deployment continued despite what's going on there.
Yes, their own are drowning, and you deployed troops to Kuwait. Like, what is going on? And we all know, it's public. We know all the money that was just sent to Ukraine. Are you kidding me? How much money is it going to take to rebuild these mountains? Like, and there's no amount of money that you can put on these people's lives. Like, what is going on? I don't understand. I mean, I'm an Air Force veteran. I'm a veteran. And this is not what I signed up for. I'll tell you that.
Right. And let me read that just so people know. But anger over Tennessee guards, MENA mission helping Israel amid hurricane havoc. The recent deployment of
Ain't that's how our government do it? Always trying to take care of other people overseas instead of taking care of their own. No, America first. America first.
700 soldiers from the Tennessee chemicals or massive storms. Not to get into your politics, but it seems this is related to climate change. It just seems like all the disaster after disaster is happening, whether it's corporations causing it, whether it's the climate crisis, which I think is caused by corporations, and our government. People are just, if you're in the wrong city or the wrong town at the wrong place, you're wrong place at the wrong time. Good luck to you. The government's not coming to save you.
Well, and that's what a lot of the talk around here is they want these mountains. They want this land for the resources. There are many resources here.
Ooh, she dropped a bomb right there. See, there's always something behind the story. Boy, when they want something, they'll cause a natural disaster. They'll cause some disasters to take place. That's where they can take what they want. Said a lot right there.
And that's what the talk is. They want this land because they're not saving the people. So what is it that you want?
So people there actually are suspect and kind of wonder, is this lack of a response that they feel because the government wouldn't mind people dying so that they could take the land? Wow.
Yes, that is true. Yes. We know the resources here. We know what's here. And
tell people who don't know that area.
Tell me.
Are we talking mining, oil?
I mean, there's not a lot of people know there is oil in a surrounding county. Huge lithium deposits in Kings Mountain. There's actually another one just outside of Asheville as well. 2 huge lithium deposits.
A lot of lithium in the Middle East.
That's your answer right there. No wonder the government ain't coming. Wow. Oh, goodness. Let's see what the people is talking about. Let's see what the street's talking about. So, one person said, we don't need permission to help our fellow Americans. That's what I say. How are they stopping people from helping people? That is crazy. All right, let's see what someone else said. And they almost said the same thing. When we need permission to help our own people. Why isn't there 20,000 Army troops on the ground with bulldozers and helicopters and soup kitchens and tents and portable showers? Is this the United States? I don't know. I don't even know anymore. Why is it we can send billions of dollars to Ukraine but cannot provide prompt life-saving assistance to people of North Carolina and Tennessee? This is unacceptable. Well, you know how the government do it. They are not only turning help away, they are not only turning help away, they are threatening to have people arrested for trying to help evacuate victims. She hit the nail on the head, just like was it Maui? Y'all remember that? And they were saying that they ain't been doing nothing. They used DEW to destroy that island because they wanted it. And nothing has been done about it. So I see a lot of the same comments, but wow, that's why you can't play these hurricanes, y'all. Who remembers Hurricane Hugo? 1989. Yeah, I was an 80s baby. Wow, me and my siblings, my oldest sibling was about 10, and then the rest of us was ages 8 on down to 5. My younger sister was 5 years old. I can't believe she was that young at that time when I think about it. She was really young, only a kindergarten. And so, Hurricane Hugo, what a devastating storm. And to think we stayed and rode that storm out. And it's because my parents didn't have any money. Just like a lot of people, like I said, sometimes you just don't have the means to get out. You got to stay and ride that storm out. And, you know, my dad, I think I mentioned before in one of my other videos, you know, he was handicapped. He had just had a brain tumor maybe a year or two before that. So, you know, we really didn't have the means to really be doing a whole lot. And so I remember it so clearly, though. Oh, that talk of the storm, it was coming. It was coming. So, you know, my poor mom, she always had to, you know, do all the rescue efforts of trying to board up the windows of the house, just trying to secure things. And I remember it so clearly that evening. We was going to walk down to my aunt's house where all of my family was, because, you know, it was a good community back then. That's why I say I love how things were back then, because, you know, you had all your family living around you, all your cousins, and you just felt safe and it felt comfortable. Whereas you don't have a lot of that today, because a lot of people, they have moved away from home. They're kind of living apart from each other. And so, yeah, we were going to walk down because we didn't have a car. We were going to walk down that evening to ride out the storm at my aunt's house. And it would have been 5 adults in the house, so, and some of my cousins. So it was us 4 kids, I think 2 or 3 of my cousins who still were living in the house, and their parents and their grandmother. And, you know, my parents. And so, and I think if I remember clearly, we lived not too far from a canal, and I think they started sounding the alarm. You know, I guess it was like a warning alarm, if I remember clearly, that evening. And I think we had already packed up. I think my mom had already took some stuff down there already, and basically, once evening came, we was just, you know, get the rest of the little bit of things we wanted, doll babies, little toys, you know, that us kids wanted to have with us, and just on foot walk down there. And so we did. And so let me just describe Hurricane Hugo. Hurricane Hugo came through as a Category 5 hurricane. And I think it hit, I want to say, I don't know if it hit them as a Category 5. I think it did. And then once it got to Virgin Islands, I think it was like a Category 4. And then there was that Thursday, and then the storm went down to Category 2. So, and I think a lot of people were thinking, we're good, we're staying, we ain't going nowhere. But that night, that hurricane picked up to a Category 4. And what made Hurricane Hugo so powerful was not only the gust of the wind, which I think got up to, I think they said 160 miles per hour. I think it was between 140 and 160 or something like that. But also how big and wide that hurricane was. That hurricane was, I think they said 30 nautical miles wide. And so here's little South Carolina. Here's the storm coming off the Atlantic coast. Now, this is the eye coming straight toward South Carolina. It was supposed to touch down like in the Sullivan's Island area. And oh my goodness, that was the storm of the century. That was one of the most costliest storms ever at that date. And one of the worst. Boy, oh boy, that was a storm. That was a storm and a half. And I remember my mama talking about the storm and how it came roaring through like a freight train. She said it sounded like a freight train. And she said, I don't know how you kids did not wake up. Not one of us woke up. Not one of us kids woke up during that storm. We slept through the whole thing. She said that thing was so loud. She said there's no way y'all shouldn't have had waking up during that storm. I mean, she said you could just hear it sounded like a freight train. Came roaring through. The house was shaking. My uncle, we never see you pray or go to church. She said he was praying. That was funny. And but we slept through that whole storm. She said, I mean, you could just hear the house shaking. People heard trees snapping. Ooh, that was a storm. And so we slept through the whole thing like babies. Didn't know what happened. Woke up the next morning like nothing happened. And, at that time, everybody was just so eager to get back home to see the devastation of what the storm caused. And that's another thing. I think that's why a lot of people stay instead of evacuating also, because they think that, if I stay, I can help my house. I can help save my house. No. You do what you got to do, and then you get out. After that isn't God's hand. I'm sorry. Especially a storm like that. Nobody should have been in South Carolina. That whole state should have been evacuated. That thing left it wasn't even communities. They said it looked like Hiroshima had touched down. I mean, communities was wiped out. All the beach houses on the Isle of Palms, damage, done. It said it was one of the highest storm surges. Where was that? I forgot where it was. But that storm came roaring through, and the devastation they caused. Y'all look up Hurricane Hugo. It was a storm in of itself right there. A storm inside of a storm. Boy, luckily it went down to a Category 4. Hurricane Hugo almost was a Category 5. Woo. And I remember the efforts. I remember we being out of water. I think my mom could cook because we had a gas stove. That's one benefit of having a gas stove when these storms come through, because you still can cook and heat up water to wash and, keep things clean. But there was some rescue efforts set up in churches. I remember us going to churches, my aunt taking us, we went a couple of times to go get clothes. They had like bags and bags and bags of clothes. You can get clothes. We had boxes and boxes. I still remember of snacking cakes. But we ain't ran out of snacking cakes for it seemed like almost a year. Man, I still remember them snacking cakes with the white frosting. I still remember them things. But we had so much of them snacking cakes, and you could go get food, just little food, boxes of food. And one thing I remember so clearly, I'll never forget it. When we went to go get some clothes, my mama found my brother a red Michael Jackson jacket. And it had all the zippers, like the Thriller video. It had all the zippers and everything. Wow, I don't know how she found that. And I'm surprised nobody else had picked it up by the time we got there. And I'll never forget that Michael Jackson jacket she found from my brother. But yeah, I remember it so clearly. You know, went back to our house. We had an old house and we had one a new house. So it was kind of like low key. Oh, we hope the storm tear up our house. Guess what happened to our house? Not a thing. What? Our house, that storm. I had so much respect for that house after that. The only thing we had was like some leaky roofs. Like, you know, parts of our roof was leaky. My mama had to get up there and, you know, help shingle it up because you couldn't find no help. I mean, everybody else was trying to help themselves. How you going to just ask for help? I mean, we asked for help, but, you know, people are so busy trying to clean up the devastation around their homes and help their own families. So she really couldn't get as much help as she wanted. And so my uncle came over and helped her, you know, reshingle the roof, you know, so it won't leak. And I think we had maybe two. I don't even remember, like 2 leaks. I remember one in the living room. I think it was one in the kitchen or dining room. And most of our pets came back. Oh, them cats came back. They was ready to eat. So yeah, that was a storm. You can't tell how these storms. Like I said, everybody should have had evacuated South Carolina when Hurricane Hugo came through. Boy, how did you guys ride that storm through? I want to hear from some of you 1980 babies and kids. What do you remember about that storm? Boy, oh boy, don't let another Hurricane Hugo come back to me because I'm bleeding. As much as I like riding through a storm, though, sometimes you can't play with certain storms. And then that's the thing, you don't know if it's going like this hurricane went from a category 2, picked up to a category 4 that night. Surprise! So you just never know. And the atmospheric conditions were so perfect for the storm. That was another thing. The atmospheric conditions were so perfect. Boy, just perfect for Hurricane Hugo to wreak havoc. And that's what it did. So you can't play around these storms, you know. We can do is pray for the people. I hope you guys get help. You gotta band together. You gotta work together. Come together as a community. Help each other. That's what we did back then.